الصادقين صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمين المختار الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. इंतहाई मोहतरम और मुकर्रम मेरे बुजुर्गों नौजवान साथियों, इज्जत मआब मेरी माओ और बहनों, अपने मामूल के मुताबिक आकाए नामदार हम सबके ताजदार हुजूर खातमुल मुरसलीन रहमतुल लिल आलमीन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की बारगाहे बेकस पनाह में मिलकर दुरूद पाक का हदिया पेश करें और पढ़ें। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व हबीबिना व शफीइना मौलाना मुहम्मद व आलिहि व सहबिहि व बारिक व सल्लिम सलातन व सलामन अलैका या रसूल अल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु तआला अलैहि वसल्लम। कादरियम नारे या गौसे आज़म मीज़नम दम्ज़ शेख अहमद रज़ा खां कुतुब आलम मीज़नम। Respected elders and brothers, I have recited a very small portion of an ayah karima in which Allah Azza wa Jal has given us two commands. I have recited the second part of the ayah karima where Allah SWT states وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Interestingly, if you look at the first part of the ayah karima, it sometimes surprises us that what Allah Azza wa Jalla has stated and mentioned in the first part and what He has stated in the second part, how do they connect together and how do we act upon both of them? If you look at the first part, Allah SWT is given the command, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu ittaqullah. O people who believe, ittaqullah, have the taqwa and the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now taqwa, इसका मतलब मुख्तलिफ होते हैं। तक़वे का मतलब अल्लाह का खौफ भी होता है, तक़वे का मतलब परहेज़गारी भी है, तक़वे का मतलब उस रास्ते को अपनाना जिस रास्ते पर चलने का हुक्म अल्लाह तबारक व तआला ने दिया है। तो तक़वा has several meanings. It could mean to have the fear of Allah. It could also mean to listen to the command of Allah and obey the path that Allah has shown to you and I. Simple command of Allah, ittaqullah. Allah se daro, Allah ka khauf karo. But then the portion I recited, Allah Azza wa Jalla is commanding in that portion, وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ, and be with the truthful people. وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ, be with the truthful people. Now, how do we understand these both parts of the ayah karima? That if a person has the taqwa, piety, as well as his fear, he has the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, then automatically his life is going to be the life of a pious person, regarding whom Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala stated muttaqoon. So these people are the people of taqwa, the people of piety. If Allah Azza wa Jal has given two commands, and one command does fulfill the need of a person being muttaqi, pious, and on the right path, then why does he need to be truthful as well? وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ, why it is necessary to be with the truthful people? The reason is, when you walk on the path of taqwa on your own, when you choose the path of piety on your own without the guide, when you choose the path of God's fearing without anyone's guidance, then you could lose that path. You could lose yourself walking in the path of ma'rifat, walking in the path of recognizing and knowing your Creator. But when you have the guide, and that guide is faithful one, that guide is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that guide who is being chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will not lose the path, you will attain the taqwa and piety as Allah has commanded in the Holy Quran. तो मुत्तकीन के साथ होने का मतलब ये है कि अगर अकेले तुम तकवे की राह पर चलोगे तो ये बहुत मुमकिन है कि तुम अपने रास्ते को भूल जाओ। ये बहुत मुमकिन है कि तकवे के नाम पर तुम गलत राह पे चले जाओ। ये बहुत मुमकिन है कि तसव्वुफ के नाम पे तुम उस रास्ते को अपना लो जो रास्ता अल्लाह और रसूल का है ही नहीं। And that is the reason that when people choose the wrong person in the name of tasawwuf, when an individual chooses the wrong individual to be led by in the name of tasawwuf, in the name of taqwa and piety and ma'rifat, he loses his path. Examples, you will see many of them. For example, we come across Sufis, so-called. We don't class them as Sufis. We come across Sufis, so-called Sufis, who claim to be Ahlul Sunnah, who claim to be the people of Tasawwuf, but then their murideen, people who follow them, they are doing sajda to them. Subhanallah. Is this what our ulama of Ahlul Sunnah and the ulama of Islam have taught us? No. There is a clear guidance in regards to sajda. It is only for Allah. There is no sajda to any peace. There is no sajda to any guide. Now why were they lost? Why did they lose the path? The intention they had is to get close to Allah. The intention they had is to get the taqwa and piety of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by following an individual who claims to be the Sufi, who claims to be the wali, and who is being claimed to be the wali of Allah by many. But then he led them to what? Doing sajda to the pir. Subhanallah. This is not the way. Why they lost in the past? Because the one who took as a guide, the one who took as a murshid, कि जिसे उन्होंने मुर्शिद बना लिया, वो खुद ही अनपढ़ था। वो खुद ही ऐसा इंसान था जिसे नमाज पढ़ने का तरीका नहीं आता। वो ऐसा इंसान था जो न खुद नमाज पढ़ता है, तो न जिसे नमाज का तरीका आता हो, न जिसे नमाज पढ़ना आता हो, न जो कुरान की तिलावत सही तरीके से कर सकता हो, तो तुमको अल्लाह तक कैसे पहुंचा देगा? The first step of Sufism is acquiring the knowledge. The first step of Sufism is getting to know your deen and getting the education about your deen. And if you do not have that, how can an individual claim to be the murshid and leader of the people? That's the problem. Now imagine, we have a great personality who was born in this month, the Islamic month of Rabiul Thani, who is known as Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. We often listen to his seerah, his biography, and we imagine the Sufis who are twirling, like twirling dervish. Often when we hear his name, we think that somebody with very long hair and very fancy jubbas and clothing. But what was the reality and the life of the Shaykh Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, who is known as Al-Ghawth al-Azam? Our ulama, they have praised the Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, and today I was looking at a book. At the beginning of that book, they have mentioned that how many books are written on the biography of Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala. Imagine the number, guess the number. 5, 6, 7? What is the maximum number? Anyone? 100? Hazrat said 100 books written about one individual. There are 72 books are written about the biography of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani. How many? 72 books. Now people might think This is what Sufis do. They write the books and they glorify the people they believe in. But that's not the case. This includes, not the book, but this includes an individual who people know as Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. Now in his fatwa, he has also glorified Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala. He's a big critique of most of these Sufis. Yes, so Ibn Taymiyyah has praised the taqwa, the piety, the obeying of Sharia of Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now, what was his life? He is the great Sufi and he is an example for all the Sufis. He is an example for all the Sufis. Was he somebody who just created an empire and there was no knowledge in it? There was no Islamic education in it. He wasn't teaching the sciences of deen and he was just holding the mahafil of zikr. Is that what he did? My dear brothers, if you read his biography and if you read his seerah, first of all, he started from acquiring the knowledge. His beginning, Hazrat Ghaus Pak का इब्तिदाई ज़माना ही दीन की तालीम हासिल करने से शुरू हुआ. When his father passed away, he was a young boy of 15. At that time, he asked permission from his mother. I would like to leave and go to Baghdad. Why was he intending to go to Baghdad? आज लोग बगदाद जाते हैं. क्यों जाते हैं? हज़रत गौस पाक के मज़ार से फैज़ हासिल करने के लिए, हज़रत गौस पाक के मज़ार की ज़ियारत के लिए. और ये कोई गलत भी नहीं है. लेकिन वहां से आने के बाद फिर हमारा हाल क्या होता है? क्या हम दीन के मामले में वैसे ही अंगूठा छाप रह जाते हैं या दीन की बातों को सीखने और समझने की कोशिश करते हैं? मामला ये भी होता है कि उर्स होते हैं, बड़े बड़े प्रोग्राम हम करते हैं. प्रोग्राम की इब्तिदा में आप देखें कितने लोग आते हैं. प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत में 20-25 लोग आके बैठ गए और जैसे ही प्रोग्राम की इख्तिताम का वक्त होता है पूरी मस्जिद भर जाती है. सुभान अल्लाह. ये कौन सी मोहब्बत है हमें इन औलियाए किराम से? ये मेरी समझ से बाला करे. इन वलियों से हमारा कैसा ताल्लुक है ये मेरे अक्ल ज़हन में नहीं आता है कि जब नियाज का वक्त होता है तो पूरी मस्जिद भर जाती है और उसी वली की जो सीरत है कि जिन्होंने अपना सारा वक्त मस्जिद में गुजारा, नमाज के वक्त हम गायब हैं. नमाज को छोड़ें, प्रोग्राम की इब्तिदा में हम गायब होते हैं. तकरीर नहीं सुननी है, खाने आना है. ये हमारा तरीका हो. Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, as I was mentioning at the beginning of his life, he tried to gain the knowledge of the deen. He sat in front of the teachers for years and for decades he stayed with his teachers gaining the knowledge of the deen. And when he thought that he has some knowledge now and he needs to walk on the path of ma'rifat, he needs to walk on the path of tasawwuf now, then he started to train himself. Bahjatul Asrar is one of the marvel of the seerah of Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And these are the people regarding whom Allah Azza wa Jal, He stated, وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. And Ghaus Pak says in the qasida that he reads, دَرَسْتُ الْعِلْمَ حَتَّى سِرْتُ قُتُبًا. I taught the knowledge of the deen, the sciences of the deen, the education that I was passed on by my teachers to the students who came to me. I carried on this path until sirtu qutuban. Allah gave me the station of कुतुबियत. मैंने उस वक्त तक दीन पढ़ाया यहाँ तक कि अल्लाह ने मुझे इस राह में कुतुबियत का मकाम अता फरमाया. हमारे यहाँ तो ये हाल हो गया है कि अगर जिक्र की महफिल के अंदर भी आप 5 मिनट तकरीर कर दें तो लोगों को ये कि जिक्र की महफिल तकरीर क्यों कर रहे हैं. सुभान अल्लाह. अल्लाह में दिल की सफाई है, लेकिन उसी रब और उसके रसूल की बात सुनने में आपका दिलो जहन जो खुलता है उससे आपको तकलीफ है। ये हमारा माइंड ऐसे बन गया है कि दीन की तालीम की तरफ हमारी तवज्जो नहीं है। सारे काम हम करते हैं, हम मीलाद भी करते हैं, तो उर्स भी करते हैं और करना चाहिए, लेकिन इनका जो मिशन है उसको तो आप देखें। गलत तो इल्म हत्ता कुतुबन in Bahjatul Asrar is being mentioned that the Wasifat himself, he stated, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, वो फरमाते हैं कि 25 साल तक इराक के वीरानों में फिरता रहा। For how many years? 25 years I stayed in the jungles of Iraq. I did not come in the public life. I did not visit people, because he was lost in the ma'rifat of Allah, knowing His Creator, remembering His Creator. 25 saal, 25 years is a long time. It's a long time to spend to think about your Lord, to think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ये जो विलायत है ऐसे ही नहीं आ जाती है कि कोई पीर के घर पैदा हो गया तो पीर बन गया। सुभान अल्लाह, पीर के घर पैदा हो गया, अगर वो नमाज नहीं पढ़ता है, अगर वो दीन की उसे कोई तालीम नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी वो पीर जरूर है। क्यों भाई? पीर के घर पैदा हो गया। सुभान अल्लाह। एक फर्क समझ लें यहाँ पे कि अगर नस्लन कोई सैयद है तो उसकी ताजीम जरूरी है। नस्लन अगर कोई सैयद है तो उसकी ताजीम जरूरी है, लेकिन ये जरूरी नहीं कि उसे पीर बना लें। अगर उसमें वो क्वालिटी नहीं है तो पीर नहीं हो सकता है। अगर दीन की तालीम उसके पास नहीं है तो पीर नहीं हो सकता है। वो सैयद जरूर है और सैयद के एतबार से उसकी ताजीम वाजिब है, लेकिन पीर बना लेना ये जहालत है। इनके लिए शर्तें हैं। वसीफान में फरमाया 25 साल तक मैं इराक के वीरानों में हिस्सा रहा। And then he himself stated that for 40 years with the wudu of Isha I performed my Fajr. For 40 years with the wudu of Isha I performed my Fajr. And the whole night he stayed awake, remembering, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person goes through this hardship and tries to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah makes him one of His closest servants. And you know what happens after that? As Hadith Pak states, and this is Sahih Hadith, and a portion of Hadith I'll mention, that the person gets so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah becomes his hand with which he holds. Allah becomes his legs with which he walks. Allah becomes his eyes with which he sees. So whatever power he has, Allah Azza wa Jal grants him immense barakah in it. Not physical. Allah doesn't become someone's hand physically. So do not get mistaken by that. Allah puts his power and ability in that servant of him. And that was the reason that when Wasipak started giving the speeches, the scholars of Sirah, Mawrikhun, they have mentioned, he did not start giving speech until the age of 40. 40 साल तक आपने तकरीर नहीं की, 40 साल के बाद आपने तकरीर कहना शुरू किया. I could imagine Wasipak wasn't Arabi, he was an Ajami. Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani came from Ajam, not Arab. And he was living in Iraq, among the great ulama, among the greatest scholars of the time. So he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, I am an Ajami and I will be delivering the speeches and the nasa'ih among the Arabs. How would this work? How would this work? Because it is their language, the fasahat and the balaghat of the language. They will be masters of that. How would I do it? But Allah, when chooses a servant and helps a servant, then it does not matter where you are from, what is your background, and among whom you are speaking, when you speak, Allah places that effect and that barakah and blessings on your tongue and in your words. Allah placed that blessing in the words of Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now imagine, we claim, हम ये दावा करते हैं कि हम हज़रत गौस पाक के चाहने वाले और मोहब्बत करने वाले, तो फिर उनकी तालीम क्या थी? What did he teach? When he claimed to love someone, then he stopped acting upon their teachings. He stopped acting upon what they told to their followers. Without acting upon their commands, your claim is baseless. Your claim could be everything, but it will be classed as a false claim. As the Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he stated in Futuh al-Ghaib, he says that in any situation, the condition, and not when you are comfortable to act upon, not when you feel like acting upon, not when it is suitable for you to do so. No, in any condition you are, he says, you must act upon the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must act upon the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine, we have a busy life. In our busy life, we have hundreds of things to do. And among those hundreds of things, if the salah time comes, what do we do? What is our preference? What we are looking at, pleasing Allah or looking after our affairs of the dunya? The outcome of what Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani has stated is, no matter what, whichever affair